We got Jim calling in from Texas. Jim, we are towards the end of tonight's program. Okay, so I'm being serious here. We don't have a whole lot of time. Okay, but we'll let you talk here because I want to hear what you have to say. The call screener says that you say that you do have evidence for God, and I don't know, in like the human body, I guess. So let's hear what you have to say. Go ahead, Jim.
Interesting.
Well, yeah. Well, I was just thinking about it, and why atheists don't believe in God. And it says in His Word that we know that there is a God by the things that He's made. So I got to thinking about a body, and in a body, it's composed of approximately 130 trillion cells, and each cell has 100 trillion atoms that make it up. And in the DNA of those cells, that they say the coil of that, each one of them is around 6 foot long. And that if you extend that, that would like go to the moon and back over 150,000 times. Now that's hard for me to believe, that I can't, my mind can't grasp that just happened by chance. And I think what I feel like it takes more faith to believe that happened by chance than a God that made it. And I believe that we're both by faith, like in biogenesis, the beginning of life, that atheists, they don't know what started, and Christians will just say, well, God was a creator of heaven and earth. So
yeah.
I guess that's the start. Okay.
Okay. All right, Jim, I'm gonna say something here, and this is gonna sound really mean, and I really don't mean it in a mean way. Okay. So I think it sounds unbelievable to you because you don't understand it. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't completely understand it either. I'm not a biologist, right? We have Forrest Valkai, who is a biologist and is studying to get his PhD right now on the show, who talks a lot about this stuff and about evolution, about DNA and how these things work. But I think people who actually do study this stuff every day can give better explanations as to how cells work, how they duplicate, right? How they undergo mitosis and do all these things in the body. That would make sense, right? As a more natural explanation than just us throwing our hands up in the air and saying, well, I don't understand it, so it must be God, right? And I'm not saying biologists can tell you the answers to everything, right? There's a lot of questions about how life on Earth originated, right? What were the exact mechanics of abiogenesis, or if it came from Earth? There's other ideas like panspermia, right? Where life comes from other planets. Obviously, they had to start from somewhere too, right? But the point is, we don't have all the answers, but we have a lot of answers, and that's kind of interesting. So I get this idea of, wow, this all seems kind of fantastical, but I also think evolution provides a lot of explanatory power for a lot of things that we see on Earth and how life has developed. So, I don't think it necessarily points to the Christian God or really any God, more so, just by saying that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sr. Two things. James Tour. Have you ever heard of him? James Tour.
James Tour? I don't think so.
He's look him up. He's a chemist, and he said there's no way that the chemistry could start at the first cell. So there are others on the other side, scientists, that are taking another view. And
Jim, do you think most chemists feel that way? Because that's the thing. We were just talking to right. And we were just a couple calls earlier. We were talking to a guy who apparently has a PhD in electrical engineering, who thinks that NASA may have different ideas about the face on Mars, right? There's lots of people who have PhDs and stuff and have kooky opinions on things, right? I don't know if that's the best way to look at things,
Well, I mean, your other person there is a thinker. So I'm thinking it just doesn't make sense to me. That's just to me. And just, I know you got to go, but the point you made out about that other caller before me, and you said that they anointed Jesus or whatever, and what Jesus did, he washed their feet. He said, do likewise. That he was a servant. If I'm your Lord, I want you to go out and help other people.
He didn't spend money on that.
Yeah.
That like that was we're talking about the him, helping the poor or taking from the poor to anoint his body, because he said that he's more worthy than that. Right.
Yeah, I mean, Jesus and his followers did take donations from people to live out and do their things, right?
Jesus had women following him to pay for his stuff. Like, I honestly think he was pimping. But
yeah, it's a whole other thing. But yeah.
But I just wanted to ask, you're saying that it takes more faith to believe I honestly don't know I cannot explain or articulate what you explained in the beginning, but you said it takes more faith for an atheist to believe that than it does to have a belief that a God did a thing. Is that what I'm understanding? What you are saying is the proof of your God?
That we are God? That there is.
Oh, you were saying that part of the evidence of why you believe in God is because there's a passage in the Bible that says that atheists, are going to lack faith, right? No. Like you referenced that at the beginning, and thinkers just asking about that.
Well, it says a fool says in his heart there is no God.
Right.
So that's what God, you know that scripture. So
yes.
But I just think you look at the whole creation, that there must have been a creator, a designer of it all. That's just another.
I don't. But you said it takes more faith to believe in abiogenesis than it does to believe that your God created it. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. That this was an accident. Everything in the universe was an accident. It by chance it happened.
And that's what you're saying is the proof of your God? When you said you have proof of God, is that what you're saying?
I think he's just giving his opinion. I think he's just saying,
that's just a thought. I mean, there's more reasons. I mean, the claims that Jesus made that he rose from the dead. Well, nobody's ever risen from the dead. And that's why we listen to him. And just to finish, I mean, the man who wrote the Gospel of John and Revelation, the thing he ended up by saying was, he said, truly, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples, which are not written in this book, but these are written that you may believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that believing you may have life in his name. So I mean, that sums up the gospel, I believe, too, that we have to have faith. And there's a difference between evidence and proof. You'll have a trial and people give evidence, and all that. Well, that's just a part. I'm not saying that's complete proof.
Okay.
But it okay.
Yeah, I hear you, Jim. I hear what you're saying. But I wonder how much, for example, about the science of anthropology. Do you believe there are other beings that preceded Homo sapiens? Do you think that we didn't evolve? We were created exactly as we were? Or do you think that we evolved from other species?
I don't. And listen, I'm sorry. I'm not a scientist or, an anthropologist.
And I respect that.
So yes, sir. Yeah, I don't.
I get you.
Yes, sir.
But we're talking about evidence, right? Right. And I think you think that evidence is a good thing. And the truth is there's a lot of evidence that we did come from other beings, right? You don't have to believe in abiogenesis to believe that we came from other animals, right? Those are actually two separate ideas. But if we understand enough about the mechanics of evolution and the fossils that we found and the record that it keeps and shows us in science, then it does point to that picture that we at least came from something else, right? And that kind of undermines this idea of intention in our creation, right? You use the word accident. I think people adapted to their circumstances and their environment and how we came to be, that there were laws at work, just laws of nature, right? Forces of nature that happen. You can call that an accident, but it seems to me that would be more reasonable than to just say, well, we came on the scene and it just so happens that all these other apes also came on the scene just before us and had similar characteristics. And some of them had the capacity of speech and some of them had the capacity of sewing clothes and stuff, but they're not human beings. They're something else, right? That paints a more complicated picture, I think. So I don't know, but yeah, I'm just putting some thoughts out there, Jim. There might be some other explanations that could might surprise you as to how we got here, and not just talking about the abiogenesis thing. But hey, like I said, we're getting close to the end here. Anything else you want to add before we let you go?
Yeah. I would like to ask you one question.
Go ahead.
Okay, and like I would say atheists are arguing against God for the reason that if there is a God, that we are going to stand before him, give an account one day.
Mm-hmm.
If there isn't, we won't have to. And so if there's not, I can live like I want to. I can, sexual, whatever, I can do what I want to do. And I'm the God of my life. And isn't that a basic premise that atheists have? It seems like
what is it that you think atheists are doing that you're not? Like, you think we're just out here killing people, sexing it up? What is it that you think an atheist life is that's different from yours? And if you're saying that the only reason why you're not killing people and sexing it up, then you're not a good person anyway. Like, you're not doing it because that's who you are. You're doing it because you want to go to heaven.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the reason is I'm not saying you're doing that. I pray you're not. I mean, you sound like really great people, but to me, I see that there's darkness in my life. There's sin according to what God said, and I want forgiveness of that, and that's why He shed His blood for me.
But that's not what you just said, though.
And wait a minute, and that eventually at the end, I will have eternal life, not only in heaven, but right now. And what, they say, why do you believe? I would say, to me, there's a peace that passes understanding, that a peace in my heart, that when I do stand before him, that I will be justified by what Jesus did. I guess that boils down. Now, you can believe that or not,
That's fine.
But that's the message, isn't it? Isn't that the Christian message?
Jim, let me leave you on this note, because we do got to go. Okay. First of all, it's very unfortunate you called at the end of the show. I would love to have a much longer conversation with you. I would love it if you could please try to if you could make time to call back again. I will absolutely pick you up first thing. Okay. Because I think we would have a great conversation together. But I'll leave you with this. What you're talking about with atheists, that's an unfortunate prejudice that we get faced with, that we don't like God, right? We have some sort of problem with him and his judgment and his rules. And so we're kind of doing this out of spite, or we're doing it because we want to sin or do our own things. And the truth is, the reason why I'm atheist and why thinkers and atheists and why other people are atheists is because we just can't accept these ideas as true, right? The sin thing doesn't matter as much, right? And here's another thing, Jim. Let's say there is a God. I think he's going to have to look at my life and evaluate whether I'm a good person or not, despite my belief in him. And I think he'd be able to do that. And I think he would be able to say that I was a good person, or at least I would try to be. Maybe it's not all the ways that he would think it's a good person, but like it or not, there's actually a lot of atheists that do live by their own moral codes. And it's for different reasons than what God lays out, right? But, a lot of us really do try to do our best every day. And I'm not trying to run away from a God because I want to sin. I really want to know what's true and what's not true, right? And I don't think the Christian God at this point in my life really makes sense to me as an idea, and for most of us, right, that do identify as atheists. But Jim, I want to say thank you so much for calling in. I got to let you go now. We got to end the show, but I sincerely hope you call again, because I think we would have a great longer conversation. You look like you want to say something to that. What do you want to say?
It's the whole you just want to sin thing. And then when I point out, we're not doing anything different than what you're doing. And just, it's very hypocritical for them to always point the finger at us, right? But if your God is going to send somebody to hell for not believing, while they are not the ones out here killing, but the killer gets to go to heaven, I don't want to be anywhere near your God. I don't it just
That's a good point as well. We're put under this moral lens, here, I think, very uncharitably, because we don't live up to Christian standards of right and wrong. When personally, I don't think Christian standards of right and wrong are good enough. I actually think I try to hold myself to a higher standard. I'll give you an example of that. I'm a vegan. I've been vegan for the last 5 years, and I do it for personal moral reasons. And you know what? Like, Christianity doesn't teach that at all. Christianity doesn't care about what you do to animals, right? Now, that's not a standard that everybody follows, but the point is, like, I came to that and I don't need God for that, right? I can find my own way through that. And lots of atheists find their own morality in their own ways. Does it come to a head with other people because we don't have like a big objective system? Sure, but we never had it anyway, right?
Yeah.
It's not like Christians didn't have this problem or haven't had this problem. They fight about stuff all the time about what's right and wrong. So,
Yeah, I agree.